ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another DC Worlds Collide video. This is Mr. Squirrel, and as always, I'm glad to have you here. So, I've been doing some theory crafting this morning after I read Mr. Terrific's kit, and I really wanted to think about what could be some potential teams and characters that, if you are serious about running this leader skill, remember, he's giving lifesteal to superpowered DPS, superpowered damage DPSers, and he is essentially giving way more stats to DPSers in the front line. And so one thing that I've been having this conversation, you saw the team synergy videos for sacrifices. I was like, sacrifice is very problematic in the sense that, like, you're losing all this HP and you're not getting anything back, especially with Constantine, who really wants people on his team that are hitting hard. He's very anti-synergistic with tanks because tanks don't really deal a lot of damage and they have a lot of HP naturally. And so when you deal damage with a tank, you're not doing a lot. You don't have a lot of attack, and so you're disproportionately losing a lot of HP and not healing a lot back through that recuperate buff, right? However, when we talk about characters that are like DPSers and DPS isolated characters, then this gets a little bit more interesting. So what I want to do right now is talk about some characters that I think will be quite good on his team. So let's pause real quick. Let's go see some lists. Okay, so one character that I've been doing some digging on, and I've been kind of like, I've pulled this character I think twice now, and I'm like, she seems really good but not good at the same time, and that's actually Mera. So Mera has a unique thing to her kit. She has a thing called Zera Armor that essentially she, at the start of her turn, if she doesn't have Zera Armor, she sacrifices 5% of her HP to put on Zera Armor for 2 turns, which means she always has this thing essentially up. And what does Zera Armor do? It gives her 35% damage reduction, reduces, here, I'll just show you guys. Let's pause and I'll show you. Okay, so if we look at this, Zebel Armor, my apologies, I thought it was Zebel Armor. At the start of turn, if she doesn't have it, she sacrifices 5% of her HP, which doesn't matter because she's gonna have lifesteal because she's superpower. All of her damage is superpower damage, so she'll just heal it right back up. Increases her damage reduced by 35% and reduces incoming crit damage by 100%. This is insane. She is so tanky. And she's gonna be life stealing like crazy. I think Mera just became insanely OP because you have life steal, all this. She is gonna be one of the best frontliners on this team. She is nuts. Everything else, like the rest of her kit, she's doing armor break, right? So you can run this really synergistically with the kits that are doing like a lot of crit damage. And if we look at her ult, let's go here. So this is Ocean's Embrace, creates a giant octopus, essentially does 400% attack damage and inflicts 1 stack of armor break for 2 turns. So it only does it to 1 enemy. That's a lot of damage. And then it does armor break, right? And then her, she will go after the person with the lowest HP, dealing physical damage. So that part is not the best because she's dealing physical damage. But then here's the thing. So her advanced attack, Hydrokinesis. So she sends out 3 dolphins, dealing superpower damage equal to 55% attack. The first dolphin inflicts 1 stack of armor break for 2 turns, and each subsequent dolphin deals 40% chance, 40 chance to inflict an additional stack. So she's doing a lot of armor break. The only thing in her kit that is not going to be attack, that's not superpower bases or basic, but everything else in her kit is doing superpower based damage. On top of that, she has 35% damage reduction. I think that was also intentional. They knew this character was coming out because if her auto was what's the right word here? If her auto involved superpower, she would be broken. Now, so I think she's going to have super crazy synergy on Mr. Terrific's team. I think she's going to be nutso. Now, one character I've been looking a lot at is Mr. Phosphorus. He's actually nuts because he's healing a lot. He's giving your team burn. Now, why is this nuts with Mr. Terrific specifically? He's giving your team burn when he ults. Mr. Terrific will throw those burns on the enemy team, and I think Mr. Phosphorus Mr. Phosphorus, like Doc, is it Mr. Phosphorus? Hold on. Dr. Phosphorus, my bad, not giving him his credit where his credit is due. But like, here's the thing. He does superpower damage. So this is going to be the DCU Superman. So let's just say you're running this team and then Mr. Terrific. It seems nuts. Like, nuts. Because they're all doing... So remember, his basic, though, is physical, but he is doing dampen, which is also synergizing very well with Mr. Terrific, right? And then yes, he does have a physical auto, but you have now you have burn everywhere. So the way I would operate this team in terms of ults is I would do something like this. I actually don't think Superboy's ult is that necessary. I just like Superboy more for just the fact that you just leave him there. He's counterattacking, and you know, he's sitting in the back doing some counterattacks. It's pretty good. You put these two up front because he heals a lot. These two in the back, they're healing. They're, you know, getting life steal, doing all this burn damage, right? And then you have Mr. Terrific. That team's really nuts. Like nutty. They both do a ton of damage. He's healing a ton with burn. You know, you can make this team work. I think this would be a real interesting team to see how it's going to operate in the future. I just want to do a quick double check. So he does superpower. So Dr. Phosphorus also has increased reflect, and whenever he's hit, he is giving the enemy burn. You want him up front. So if you have Dr. Phosphorus, these two in the front. Now remember, Superman really, the new Superman DCU really wants burn on the team. These two up front are just going to be doing so much work in terms of like, he's healing a ton because of the burns. He's going to be, I think, like a tank killer. He is just going to be doing outputting so much damage. But at the same time, you got to remember with Dr. Phosphorus, like, he's not the easiest character to get to. Like, you get these through the league summons, I think. Let me just do a quick double check. Yeah, so I wasn't wrong. You can only get Dr. Phosphorus through the league recruitment as well. That's it. There's no other place to get him. I was just double checking. And so, you know, that is something to take note of. He is harder to get. But he is good. But this is a team, I think there's a new variation of the burn team. I do think, I'm trying to think if you can like sub anyone out on this team. I mean, Superboy, I just like Superboy because his basic inflicts it as well, and he does do counterattacks. So it's really interesting that like this team is just triggering a ton of burn, and I think it can be very, 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 very interesting. It's very tanky, very lifestealy with Mr. Terrific. Now the next variation, I do want to, so this is one variation of the team. We're gonna say this is, we know this works. Now another thought I was having is this. So I think there's this idea of a sacrifice team. So I'm going to just use, we'll use Manta as in the place of Guy Gardner. So you've got these two sitting up front. You got Mera and you've got Guy sitting up in the front of this team. Now, you can do, I like Fate on this team a lot, actually. Fate and Constantine, I think, are going to be real. I think this is a really cool team in the sense that the lifesteal from Mr. Terrific can essentially offset the sacrifice mechanic. Like Mera sacrifices, he doesn't sacrifice, he's just doing a ton of shields. But with his new artifact, he might become super bruisery, and then you have this like really tanky comp. He's already got lifesteal in his advanced attack, but this is now he's getting lifesteal everywhere, and then he's giving your team recuperate. Now, why is this nuts? So not only I think if you're going to run Mr. Terrific, you actually need to run Constantine on top of it, because Constantine's doing a recuperate buff with lifesteal, so you're getting a lot back at the start of your turns, and that makes this team kind of nutty in that sense. I do think that we're going to have to think a little bit more in the front line now. You need to start putting in the more of those artifacts that give a lot of life steal, that make your team tankier. They're probably, your frontliners do want the epic, what's the word I'm looking for? The epic artifacts, because you want that 15,000 HP on both of them. Constantine, there's the artifacts are gonna, the only thing that I'm a little worried about with this team is artifacts, because artifacts can be you're gonna run slim on artifacts, because there is, I think, 3 artifacts you can give Dr. Fate, the artifact that there is the sacrifice artifact. You can give Mera the healing artifact. You can give Constantine the what's that one? Lasso. Definitely, for Constantine would love the lasso, because his first ult's just gonna brutalize the enemy team. You've got the Green Lantern artifact here. So I mean, actually, maybe you're not running that shy on them. This team actually works really well. I think these two would be wonderful frontliners. You've got these two sitting in the back just doing like mad amounts of damage, while he's also shielding your team. So if they do run low, he's giving everyone a shield, but because of this buff that he's giving, these shields are going to be enormous. This team actually, while I like the burn team, I actually think this is the team to go, just because you're doing so much, and then you've got so much superpower damage. They're all doing life steal. The only physical damage is her basic, but everything else in this team is just tons of superpower damage. You are outputting tons of damage. It's gonna be a real interesting show of, can this team essentially, is it tanky enough though? Can they take the hits? My worry is just the hits. They're gonna need defense. They're gonna need your front line is really gonna be able to need to take some hits. I think Mera will be fine. That's why I'm saying these two. I think, especially with that new artifact that's coming out, I think he will be phenomenal with these two. And then you've got these two just outputting so much damage, and you've got a really nice distribution of like who's doing damage on this team. You've got all the colors accounted for, and Mr. Terrific is cleansing your team. This is the one I'm most interested in running, just because I really like this idea of sacrifice now, which is quite ironic that I was talking about it the other day. I think that Mr. Terrific is actually the best sacrifice leader, which is quite funny, because they sacrifice because the sacrifice starts, they're going to sack their HP, and then they do the damage. So then you just offset that sacrifice with the life steal, which is great, right? And so like Mera start a turn, doesn't have her Exebel armor, and then loses 5% of her HP, but she's gonna have so much attack in the process. So with Constantine, she's losing quite a bit of HP, but then she's gonna get it all back because of the life steal, right? And then she's doing a ton of damage. She's got that damage reduction, so she's 35% damage reduction. Let's see. I mean, if Mr. Terrific's got a lot of defense, if he's given those frontliners a ton of defense, she's gonna be kind of nutty. And then my thought would be, in terms of alt orders, I would do it something like this, just because I want them to stay alive. And so you want them doing damage to stay alive. She's really good at single target. He's single target. They're AoE. My only thought here is that I do want him ulting actually pretty early on in the fight. But at the same time, I do want them ulting too. I would want to ult at the end, because at the end of the fight is when you're gonna have the fewest characters, and that's when his ult just does insane single target damage. So I'm trying to figure out the order of ults in this comp, but this is the comp I'm most excited about. It's also the comp that I have too, because I'm going to summon for Guy, so I'll have all 4 of these characters, and I think it can work really, really well. I think this bumps up sacrifice pretty well, and it offsets the issues, because one of the things about lifesteal too that you have to think about, if you haven't lost HP, then lifesteal is doing nothing for you. But if your team is, if Constantine's making you lose HP, which he is at the start of your turn, that means then that you're going to get that HP back. For Mera, just an FYI, I am like almost I really want to run her on a full speed set because I want her to go very early on in the fight. The same thing with Guy. I'm going to probably put 4 attack, 2 speed. Because again, I want them going early. I want them going fast. The same Constantine, we'll see. I would probably put crit on him because I want those ults to be critting. I want his damage to always be critting. Lasso would be very good on him. Fate, same thing. Speed, maybe crit. Just you want your team doing tons of damage. You also want to make sure they're having a lot of attacks, so they're getting a lot of life steal back. But you also want to make sure they're critting because crit is going to be just so important so that they can be healing up. You're getting a lot back from crit on this team because of how much damage they're doing, and if something crits, you're just getting more life steal on that team. That's my thoughts right now. I think my other issue right now with the Supermen is that they're weak to superpower. They're weak to superpower damage, and superpower is running amok right now. So your Supermen are taking more damage. I don't like them as tanks right now because they're taking more damage from superpower. With Mr. Terrific, people are going to be running a lot more superpower, and they're going to be getting hit hard. And that can be very problematic for the team as well. That's my thoughts right now. Initial thoughts on Mr. Terrific's team. Let's see what happens. And this is just some general overview thoughts to consider. And I could be totally wrong, but this is just my theory crafting for what could be potentially really good. I'd love to hear from other people. I think also a character that I'm curious to see is how she's going to okay, my thing is just not letting me move characters apparently. She could be very interesting as well with all the life stealing. If life stealing triggers the healing, she's going to be crazy, doing crazy amounts of damage, so she becomes insane at the same time. Would need a test with her. Sinestro I think is also a very good one on his team, but you also need to then be running characters that are debuffing. I think that could be really interesting with Phosphorus. I might actually even replace Phosphorus. Not Phosphorus. I would replace Superboy with Sinestro because of all the burn, dampen. That could be interesting actually. Ooh. So let's do this if the thing wants to work with me. One other team to think about. We'll do this. I'll make a revision to the burn team. This is like lagging hard. We're just going to put this down here. Would be something like this. So the new Superman, Phosphorus, I'd put these two. We'll do you two in the front. And then, nope. This could be interesting as well because of all the things kind of going on this team with all the debuffs. With that new Superman, you got dampen going left and right. You got burn. She's doing some armor break in there. He's doing slow. So there's your there you go. This team I think would be also redonkulous. Because remember, and then he does his ult, Mr. Terrific flips those ult onto the other team. Like I would put Mr. Phosphorus and Mr. Terrific, and then probably Sinestro, and then the new Superman. Like that's how I would ult. And that could be nutty too. That could be very nutty. Okay, that's it. That's what those are my thoughts. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Remember, failing is just your first attempt at learning.